Bill persevered. God bless him. Listen for the whisper. It's worth the truth. Betty?
I just wanted to recall a few things as we went along this little journey and some things about Bill. And the first one is we were on the lake bank. Oh, it's probably been 3 years ago. And Bill loved to sit on the lake bank. He loved that view. He just loved, beauty, the beauty of the trees and the water and the birds, and just to sit there and relax and visit and talk. And we must have been to somebody's funeral, or somebody must have died, because he started in on this. I don't want people to be sad at my funeral. I want it to be a happy time. And he was going on like that, and how we're just not happy at people's funerals. And he wanted a happy time. And he was emphasizing that, and I was just kind of listening. And then I said to him, but Bill, we're going to be very sad at your funeral. To which, of course, you don't catch the humor, but I'm 6 years older. So he threw back his head and died laughing and said, just kind of nodded, and I had no earthly idea, that was going to be the case. But the point was, I guess he wanted us to remember his joy and his wit. And so that's what we're trying to do today. And I also wanted that to lead into the fact that, as Kelly said, up until the end, he was a happy soul. Beginning to end, he was a happy soul. And I know this had a lot to do with his personality, but it also had a lot to do with where he was in his life, with what he had done, with his commitment to God, and just God graced him with that. In my little notes I have, he came close to singing his way into heaven. The last few nights that we would be with him, I'm a pretty heavy sleeper, and he bolted me out of my nice long dream with some stanza from some song. I can't even remember now if I recognized it or not, but he would just burst into song at 3 o'clock in the morning, And then he'd kind of say something, we'd say something like, "Go back to sleep, Bill." And then maybe another hour or so, he'd sing another song, and this one he made up, and you might have recognized the tunes. You definitely recognized the theme that he was focusing on, but it was still Bill singing. That's where he was. That's what his heart was. He sang. And so I think of that, and I think of that in their living room. I will recall Bill just singing and being happy. I said he's able to be content wherever he was and make the best of it. He even had a time at Grace Home after one of the spells that he was singing. I don't know if that was on Wednesday or something, but literally he almost sang himself into heaven. So Bill was a happy soul, and that's what he wants us to remember. Then I also I've thought about people when their relatives die around holidays, and I thought, oh, how terrible that is. It's going to ruin the holidays now. But that's not the case. It is 100% appropriate that Bill died during Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. We just had way too much to be thankful for on his journey. As Kelly said, even when he was diagnosed in January, it was bleak. And then when he went to MD Anderson and things started getting worse, and then you hear things like 1 to 3 weeks, and then the best was 8 to 10 weeks. And I can remember Joan and I in the kitchen, and it was the 10th week. And I said, "Joan, I don't think he's going to die this week." She said, "I don't either. He's so healthy." I mean, that's the truth. We didn't know what to expect, but we knew that singing creature in the other room was not anywhere close to what we thought death was. So we're so thankful that we had that extra time, that quality time, that he defied them all the way along in many, many ways, and we accepted the new norm, whatever it was, and we were just grateful to have that time with him. We were thankful that he didn't have a lot of pain. That was one thing that got me. When you hear what he had, oh, it's going to be so painful, it's going to be so terrible. Joan would go to the doctor, and the nurses would say, "Okay, how much morphine is he on?" "Well, he's not. He's doing Advil and some hydrocodone." I said, "What?" And and the only reason he got off the hydrocodone was because that particular doctor didn't like it. I don't really like that drug. Let's just start small bits of morphine. But, you know, he just didn't have the pain that you would think someone in that condition would have. And that allowed him to keep his wit and his joy. And I'm just so thankful and grateful for that. And there's so many. He was able to come to this church almost till the very end. And that was such a big part. And that's, again, just so many things to be thankful about, and I can't do number 4, so. I warned you.
I was praying. Well, number 4 was about Joan. And, Betty, I'm not sure I can do this. Joan handled this with super wife abilities. And even that sounds trite, almost demeaning. Listening to Betty and others, you above and beyond, and commitment and devotion, dedication, courage. You ever in the Marines? But you, Joan, you walked through the fire, and you have come out the other side. And you know, we loved you before. we love you so much more. You know, you are an example of commitment and love. Anybody that had anything to do with this, with this illness and this time in y'all's lives, now has an example. If I ever have to be there for Carol or vice versa, all we have to do is think of Joan. Dang you, Betty. He was totally dependent on you. And you can only think of the vows, in sickness and in health.
But he made it easy. He made it easy. He was lovable.
But you did it. And we all thank God for you and your dedication and time. You responded with care and compassion and love that surpassed what anybody could reasonably expect. We all thank you for that. All right, Betty, you all right with that?
Am I done?
You owe me. It's not 55 minutes, but Jill.
Not fair than 50 minutes.
Jim, come over here.
It's going to sound strange starting this way, but I met Ann at Disney World. And sometime later, when we realized how serious we were, it came time to meet the family. It was 36 years ago on Thanksgiving. And the first person I met when we pulled up was Bill. He was standing outside the Martin House in Winsboro. And he looked a little bit like a hippie. But he welcomed me, and Bobby was there. He welcomed me, and the rest of the family embraced me. But I come from a kind of a different background. I haven't had that close with my family, but I've been away, it seems like all my life. And when I joined this family, it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for me, and has been. I've been coming back here every year since then, as often as we could, as far as away we got. when we did go far away, Bill would follow us. He would show up and corrupt my children, and drink all my liquor. But I did get even with him on a couple of occasions. I stole a pair of boots from him. But Bill was just one of the magical McHale family that helped me in my journey through life, helped my children,